he's just another part. He's just a guy, I guess, that is not democratic elected, and there's nothing really bad about that. And I guess the main reason for that is, even though he's not democratically elected, he's kind of democratically allowed to rule, if that made any sense. Because let's say if the King of Norway suddenly started doing like, Ermagerd, let's declare war against Sweden. Because in theory, the King of Norway is also the, I guess, the leader of the Norwegian military. So in theory, he could kind of do that. But if he started doing shit like that, then he knows, and everybody else also knows, that he's not going to be allowed to be king anymore if you start doing things like that. So even though he in theory has the power to do such things, I'm not sure if he actually has that though, but it's never going to happen. And the king knows this, and as a result, he sort of acts nicely, I guess. He does his best to be a good king, because he knows that if he doesn't do his best to be a good king, then he's not going to be allowed to be king anymore. And that applies for most monarchies that are, I guess, modern and Western or whatever. There are not that many exceptions, I guess. Some Middle Eastern people, I guess, you know, basically monarchs that still have actual power, they don't apply to that rule, but at least in Norway that rule applies. So in that form, the king is actually kind of democratic, believe it or not. So yeah, and another thing is how it is unfair that some people get to be king while others don't. And that is something that I can kind of actually agree with. But I think also something that people have to remember is that the way that, you know, most monarchies work is that the firstborn child of the current monarch gets to inherit the throne. In Norway, at least, it's like that. I guess in some countries it's still like it used to be like in Norway that if a boy child came along, then the firstborn boy child would inherit the throne. But if there was no boys, then the firstborn girl would inherit. But that has changed though. Now it's like equality and shit. Because, you know, the monarchy modernizes in the same way that I guess the rest of the nation modernizes. So, and my point is that when the person that is sort of expected to inherit the throne is not actually forced to do that, he or she is given an option, to choose to become king or not. And I guess that's just something I wanted to notice. And so yeah, but I guess really that I mean, there's not really much we can do about the fact that it's kind of unfair that some people get to be king and some people don't. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think there's that many people that have like their lifelong dream to become king. I mean, it's really just it's just a job, really. It's not like sure, you get to be rich and shit and live in a fancy castle, but you have a lot of things you have to do, and that kind of stuff. And another thing also that I like about the monarchy is that it is a tradition, and I think that in a lot of countries now, traditions are getting, you know, killed off. And so just I'll take an example, that traditional Norwegian music. I mean, you can barely hear that anymore, and there's a reason for that, because that kind of music, it sucks. It's so shitty. And so I completely agree that we should get rid of such traditions, because, I mean, or not get rid of them, but, I mean, accept that they die out simply because nobody likes it anymore. And a lot of Norwegian and in general traditions around the world are dying out in this way. They get sort of replaced by this international way of being, I guess. But I think the monarchy is sort of a thing that is completely, I think it is something that it's not outdated. It can still be a good thing to have because of the reasons that I have tried to explain. I don't feel like I have perfectly explained what I meant about all of this, but if you have any, you know, questions or whatever, things you wonder about, things you don't completely agree about, then I'm very much open for you guys leaving that in the comments, and then I can try to, you know, explain that. And I'm open for criticism as well. I mean, there's a reason why that a lot of people don't want to have monarchy anymore. And one last thing though that I kind of want to discuss is that people, a big sort of thing that people complain about when it comes to the monarchy is the fact that there's a big danger that since the monarch is not democratically elected, that the monarch is going to be a big douchebag. Usually this is kept in a sort of prevented, I guess, by the fact that sort of I have mentioned before that even though the king is not democratically elected, he's sort of democratically allowed to stay as king, and that sort of makes the king, I guess, try at least to be a good guy. And if you look at the majority of the monarchs in Europe today, then the majority of them are good people, people that I feel I could look up to, and it's sort of like, how can I put this? Yes, there's a danger that you will get an idiot on the throne, but that accounts for every other position in state. I mean, let's take the example of President Bush that ruled over in the USA. I mean, I'm just gonna say, I personally believe he was quite an idiot, but he was still allowed to rule 2 terms as president, and you might, you know, if you basically take that as a reason that the system of president and Republican shit is not perfect. It's not sure that you're going to get an awesome guy as president. There's a big chance, or a decent chance, that you'll get an idiot. And the same applies for the monarchy. It's just something that we really haven't found a way to prevent yet. And another thing, it's kind of weird to say this, but another good thing about the fact that the king is not democratically elected is that you kind of lose this, I guess. I think if you guys want me, I can sort of have a separate video about how the downsides of democracy, I guess. I'm not saying I'm against democracy, I'm simply saying that democracy has flaws, in the same way that the monarchy has flaws, and we have learned to accept the flaws of democracy, and that's also why I think we should learn to accept the flaws of monarchy. Or we shouldn't. I mean, I just think we could, I guess. I don't know. You know, something. Stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I got a little off topic, or not really off topic, but... Okay, let's, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This video has been going on for quite a while. That's actually a little issue. I actually only recorded 10 minutes of gameplay for this video. Now I have to go ahead and record some more, but that's not a problem. Well, I can do that. It's not a big deal. So yeah, I guess I tried at least in this video to explain my why I support the monarchy, but it's difficult, you know, to try and explain stuff like this. Like that. It's a lot easier if you have a sort of discussion with people to try and explain to them why you support the monarchy, rather than just telling it in a video, because there will always be those things that you forget saying or whatever. But as a conclusion, I guess I can say that I think that having a symbolic leader of a country is a good thing, and the current system that, you know, the kid inherits the throne and all that fancy stuff, it is that system that works simply because of the way that the government is built up, for the reason that I have previously explained, and I guess that's why I support the monarchy. I mean, there are other problems with the monarchy that I guess I didn't talk too much about, and that would be kind of weird, I guess. Let's take this scenario. The next to inherit the throne in Norway is Håkon, the something, I don't know what his number is or whatever. He's married and he has kids, so that's not a big deal. I mean, the succession right there is safe. I guess the inheritance is safe, I guess you could say. But the next in line is a little kid, a girl. I don't know the name, I don't know the age, she's young at least. So let's take this scenario. Let's say that she ended up being a lesbian. What would you do if that happened? I mean, would you accept the fact that a lesbian pair would rule Norway? personally, I believe that is completely legit. I don't have any problems with that, you know. That sounds awesome. Really, it's or awesome and awesome. I don't know what you would say to that, but I think that would be a, you know, something that we have to accept if it comes along. But I guess, but you can get sort of a situation that, let's say, if in order to, you know, get a dude or a girl, whatever, to inherit the throne, they would have to adopt a kid in order to have someone to inherit the throne. And let's say they inherit or they adopt a foreigner, someone from, I don't know, let's say Turkey. I mean, and a Turkic, just because you are ethnic Turkic doesn't mean that you can't be Norwegian, so that would still technically be a Norwegian king ruling Norway, but it wouldn't be an ethnic Norwegian king, and that might, you know, cause some problems. A lot of people might not accept that, because it would be kind of weird and unusual, I guess. And that's sort of the problems that the monarchy faces. I've not actually read about any instances, I think that's the word, where stuff like this has actually happened, but I mean, it is a possibility, and I mean, what would you do really if such a thing came up? And I guess that's something that we're just gonna have to figure out whenever it comes around. God knows when that will happen. And yeah, shit, I completely forgot something that I wanted to say. I've talked about that I support the monarchy, but I also want to sort of say that I feel that the monarchy needs to be reformed a little bit. I think that the way it is now is not perfect, and it can be improved. And by the way, I actually think this video is going to be divided into 2 parts. Of course, you guys will already know this, because, I mean, you can see the title and shit. But yeah, this video is getting very long, so I think I'm just gonna cut it up. But I guess this is the point of the series, just me sitting here talking to myself, just rambling about random shit. But yeah, the main criticism I have to the monarchy is the fact that monarchy and religion is sort of something that is related, I guess people believe. And I guess this sort of, it's not right, in my opinion. In Norway, it's kind of like, it's sort of expected by the king that he's supposed to be a Christian, and I don't think that's an okay thing. I think that the king and the monarch should be religiously neutral in the same way that he is politically neutral. The reason for that is that I believe that the monarch should be a guy or girl or whatever that should represent the entire population of Norway. And I mean, the majority of Norwegians are Christians, or I feel it's little wrong to say that. I mean, the majority of Norwegians are members of the Norwegian church. Like, for example, my parents are members of the church, but they're not Christian, so I guess saying that the majority of the people in Norway are Christian is wrong. For example, me, I was a member of the Norwegian church up until a certain point, when I reached the age that I could sort of legally, you know, get out of it without anybody else telling me that I shouldn't do it. Not that my parents didn't want me to do it, but I kind of wanted to do it by myself. But if you guys want me to discuss religion, I am very open to do that in a separate video. I'm not going to go too deeper into that. My point is that I think that the Norwegian king can be, he can be a communist Catholic for all I care, as long as he doesn't really show it off, I guess. As long as he sort of stays neutral and keeps that belief to himself. Because I think that is more appropriate, that a king should be neutral and on matters like that, simply because he's supposed, or she or he, whatever, is supposed to represent the entire country of Norway in this case, I guess. Because up until recently, the King of Norway was also the head of state, or the head of, I mean, not head of, also head of state, I guess, but also head of the church. That was changed though, sometime last year, I think. So he's no longer the head of state, but he's still kind of connected to the church in a sort of way. And for example, under the ceremony when he is crowned, that is a Christian ceremony, and I think that's okay. I have nothing against that. I simply think that it shouldn't be fuck, I don't know the word for that. It shouldn't be obvious that it should be like that. I don't think people should be allowed to be surprised if the king doesn't want to be crowned in a Christian ceremony. So that's mainly my only real complaint about the monarchy, really. Other than that, I don't think there's much more to talk about, really. So, I mean, what are your guys' opinions on the monarchy? Do you live in a monarchy? Do you want a monarchy? I don't know. If you have any opinions about this, then please leave it in the comments below. I would love to hear you guys' opinions about stuff. And if you have any questions about stuff, then just ask me. And if you have any questions about things that are completely unrelated, I guess, or kind of related or whatever, then you can leave that in the comments as well, because this series is about me taking suggestions, or it's about me talking about stuff. And one main thing that I sort of try to explain in my fuck in my first episode of this series was that I wanted to sort of take suggestions from you guys. I've gotten like a couple of suggestions so far, but none of them have really been things that I have felt like I can answer yet. One of them was, by the way, some sort of like, I think he wanted me to explain some things about myself. I kind of want to do that, or kind of want to do it. I don't know how you can say it. I kind of want to have like a Q&A at some point or another. If you guys want a Q&A, then you can just, you know, tell me or whatever. The main reason why I haven't started anything like that is that I get so few comments on every video that I feel like a Q&A could become a little short. Let's say I have like 3 questions, and that would become kind of lame. So leave your comments about, you know, if you want a Q&A, if you have any other topics that you want me to discuss or talk about. And that can be anything, really. I can discuss, I don't know, life on Mars or aliens. I can discuss that, or I can discuss the newest Call of Duty, even though I don't actually, I'm too big of a fan of Call of Duty, but still, I can try, I guess. I mean, leave your suggestions. That's really all I ask you guys about. And yeah. So, I guess that's it then. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this episode, I guess, of GreenFors Talks. And until next time, bye!